And it just all just compounds and compounds. And you have to just keep going through those hard times. And I still have hard times. I still have hunts where I get my butt kicked, but constantly getting better, learning, improving, keep showing up, keep training hard. And that's really it, man. You are listening to the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast, where we take an all-in, leave no doubt approach to all things adventure hunting. From the big woods to the high country. How about that? Let's learn together as we discuss with our expert guests on what it takes to be successful in the backcountry. I'm your host, Weston Homa. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast. Little something different this week. So this episode was actually an episode I recorded with the guys over at HuntSource. So Kevin and Landen, go give them a follow. They just got their Instagram page rolling for HuntSource, but they got a YouTube channel with a bunch of great gear reviews and hunting content, archery, tips and tricks, just all the stuff. So go check those guys out. They hit me up. I've been in touch with Kevin here for a decent bit, going back and forth about fitness and hunting and stuff. And yeah, just good dudes, killers. They're up there in Canada. And yeah, I think they're putting out some really good stuff there with HuntSource. So go check them out. Yeah, they had me on. We had a good chat, chopping it up. And I just wanted to share this maybe on my platform too. The podcast is growing. It's really exciting. And just kind of tell a little bit more about my story and where I came from and things going on. And I don't know, I think it was definitely a value to share here as well. So hope you guys enjoy it. Again, go follow those guys over at HuntSource. They're killers and really good dudes. So other things going on, 50K this weekend. So this is dropping here Tuesday. The 50K is this coming Saturday. So I'm on my taper and dialing back the running, just trying to get the legs feeling good, 100%. Really just looking to throw it down. Like, I just get so excited for these races. Really gives me an opportunity to just really let loose, see where I'm at. And that's what I love about it too. It's like, I think the key is definitely to be intrinsically motivated day after day and get better. But these races and other fitness competitions and stuff, it's kind of just like a cool way to know where you're at, essentially, how you stack up with your time, where you're at, where you were as far as, a year ago goes, or how you are compared to the competition. So that's what I like. I like competition, brings out the best in me. And this is all just getting ready for the mountains. I mean, when I go out there, I just want to feel like a mountain athlete. That's how I look at it. And that's why I like running these races, training hard, all these things. So 50K, yeah, coming up on Saturday. Also doing the old 75 hard. So today's the 19th. I'm recording this. So I guess I'm on, day 19 of 75 hard. That's going good. Just feel really, really good. The body's good. And yeah, can't complain at all. So just rolling right along. If you guys haven't checked out, I got some merch up on runtherack.outdoors.com. So you click on the shop tab. I got a couple beanies and a couple of these hats. And I got some other stuff that's coming down the pipe soon I'm really excited about. So just stay tuned for that. But, if you want to support the podcast and things like that, that's the best way to do that. So we're still growing and really appreciate it if people, at least, if you're on Spotify, give it a rating. Really helps grow the show. If you're listening on Apple, you can go do a star rating there and leave a review if you'd like. So that helps very much too. It's very much appreciated. So that's that on that front. And the last thing I wanted to say here too before we dive in. So on my YouTube channel this week, it's going to come out this Thursday. So that's the 22nd. My Idaho mule deer film, it's going to be titled Welcome Idaho. And I'm going to drop it, like I said, this Thursday night. If you guys are listening to me for the first time, basically, I always grew up hunting, grew up an outdoorsman. I started hunting the West, and I grew up in Pennsylvania. When I started hunting the West about 4 or 5 years ago, just absolutely fell in love with it. I have such a passion for these backcountry hunts. Love it so much, I actually moved to Idaho this past October. So I've only been out here for a few months. Been loving it, chasing the dream. And my first week out here, I picked up a non-resident deer tag this summer before I got here. Did my first week at my new job. Wasn't even really settled into my apartment. Bombed up through the night in the mountains, backpacked in, spiked out by myself up on this ridge. And if you guys want to know what else happens, go ahead and watch the video. But really excited to share that. just kind of share the whole journey of all of it, the move, pursuing my dreams, and I hope you guys like it. I think it's coming together pretty well. So yeah, welcome Idaho buck, an Idaho mule deer film that's coming out this Thursday. Check it out. Give me a like and subscribe. I guess that's what I'm supposed to say. No, I appreciate it. Hope you guys like this episode this week with Kevin and Landen. And that's it. So let's have a great week. Let's leave no doubt. Let's work as hard as we can, and let's run the rack. All right, everybody. Take care. See ya. Go Hunt has a single purpose: make it easier for hunters to get into the field. Hunting tags are only getting harder to obtain, and Go Hunt is a research platform helping navigate the ins and outs of drawing tags and researching hunts across the West. I've had a Go Hunt membership for years now, and I'm a big fan of the articles written on there by Brady and Trail. The content is next level stuff that has helped me a ton. From animal behavior to archery, they are sharing all the nuggets. I also love the hunt films on YouTube. They are extremely inspirational, and they'll make you want to get out in the mountains ASAP. Check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop, where they have everything you need for this coming hunting season. Use the code RACK, that's R-A-C-K, for 10% off eligible items in the shop. And you can use the code RACK for $50 in-shop credit when you join as an insider. So sign up for a membership and immediately get $50 back toward hunting gear. Check it out. You won't regret it.
So, but I mean, like, that's a big move, moving from Pennsylvania to Idaho. So tell me a little bit about that. So first of all, what sparked that?
Well, just the love of hunting the mountains in the West, man. I mean, since the first year I did it, I hunted elk in Colorado, like a lot of people, over the counter, do it yourself. And that's what I do, just public land style hunts. And went out on one of those hunts with my dad for the first time about 5 years ago, and absolutely just fell in love with, and I grew up hunting whitetails, turkeys, all that, always in the outdoors, but just hunting the mountains in the West, it's just been all I think about, all I love to do. It's my passion. And then every year made that huge trip west to go hunt elk and mule deer in Colorado and Idaho and whatnot. And every year making the big trek back to Pennsylvania just ate at me all through like my mid-20s. Like, gosh, I just wish I could move out there. And I just had that on a pedestal. Like, I can't, like, how could I do that? How could I figure that out? Eventually, I don't know, man. I think a lot of people in life, they know what they want deep down. And it's like, are you eventually going to get sick of your own shit and just go for it? So started taking action steps, getting the ball rolling. And long story short, applied for jobs, landed on Boise, Idaho, and got a job, sold my house in Pennsylvania, loaded up a U-Haul, made the trek, and I absolutely love it here. I've been here for a few months, and I have no regrets, living right at the base of the mountains. And, I just can't – well, I'm in the winter now. That's what's tough. I can't wait to get out and start scouting and, go chase something. But it's awesome. I feel like I'm living the dream.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. Now, that's not an easy task. And, like, the dynamics for Canada are obviously a little different. Like, we have big, massive provinces, and 4 provinces pretty much span, British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, and in Manitoba, pretty much stretch all the way from the west all the way to almost Pennsylvania itself, right? So, we have 4 provinces, and I grew up on the actual, like, north coast of British Columbia, right on the water. So it was as rural as you can get. So, we grew up with a fishing rod in our hand, and we were chasing deer from as long as I can remember. So that is always really interesting for me to hear, is like that dedication, that passion for hunting. So, like, did you have Boise on your radar, or was it just like wherever I could find a job? Like, did you have like 3 or 4 states that you knew you wanted to go to, and then you're just like applying and like just throwing resumes out, and whatever first one that says yes, that's where I'm going?
So I definitely had a filter, and it's funny to think back at this in hindsight. I knew I wanted to, one, always be guaranteed to hunt my elk and deer and bear, all that. What had the most opportunity? And there's some states down here, like, Utah has some great mule deer hunting, but you're not always guaranteed your elk tag or anything like that. It's a lot of limited entry. So cross that off. Colorado, I love Colorado. I love the mountains. I love hunting there. Great hunting opportunity and everything. But I kind of want to, at this stage of my life, still be in like a city, be helpful to, easier to get a job. And Denver's just really populated now. It's a big city. That whole state's kind of turning a little bit too liberal for me. So kind of just X'd out Colorado, but definitely we'll be going back there and hunting all the time. Same thing with just some other states. And I just remember thinking, like, Idaho has a ton of opportunity. Like, do I know anybody in Idaho? And like, I don't. I didn't know anything about it. Did come out here and hunt in the spring, though, because long story short, I did bump shoulders with one guy that said he moved to Boise. And like just through the phone, through social media, he actually found my YouTube channel. He's like, dude, you popped up in my algorithm, like one of your mule deer hunts. Like, how's it going? Shooting the shit. He was like, you got to come out here and spring bear hunt. And I'm like, and this was probably at this time last year, like last winter. And I'm like, okay, you say that. And I'm one of those people that like, I'm in. Like, and he was like, okay, well, what about this May? Like, you want to come out? And I was like, let's do it. And I was like, Boise just,
don't threaten me with a good time.
Don't threaten me with a good time. So I'm like, well, wait, Boise sounds really good. Like, small little city, base of the mountains, definitely could find work. It's growing. Idaho's a red state. It takes a ton of hunting opportunity. And I'm like, all right, well, let's check this out. So this spring I came out here and only had about 5 days and flew out here on no sleep, nothing like that. Went right up to the mountains, hunted with the one guy I kind of know and some other guys I didn't even know. Like just one of those random, hey, let's do it trips. Ended up being like an awesome hunt camp. Came off the mountain, and this is what I was doing. I was applying for jobs before I went out there. And I had 2 job interviews. And what I did was like I came off the mountains from like a backpack bear hunt and then showered at my friend's place, then went to these job interviews. And then I even had, it was just wild to think, like, I asked them too, like, hey, after this, my second interview, like, I need a ride to the airport. Like, so I hope this goes well. Like, I just trying to hustle and make it happen. And what's funny is actually the job I landed, it ended up being not one of those. It was all done virtually, but just hustle. Like, I just kept hustling. And like, I didn't have it all figured out. You just kind of take it one day at a time. And next thing you know, I got an offer like in the summer from the power company here. Great job. And when I got the offer, I remember being like, oh shit. Okay, so we're going. Hung up and then called my realtor and I said, hey, we got to sell this house. And then, yeah, next thing I knew, out here.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's it. Just keep hustling.
Yeah, that's it. Literally it.
That's got to be like at that point, the job opportunity's there. And it's like, okay, I'm going for it. I'm chasing my dream. And I think, like you kind of said earlier, a lot of people just kind of let that dream and stew on it, right? They leave it in the background and don't take action and don't grind it out. Like you could have easily went on those hunts and just been like, oh, that was great. Back to reality. So
yeah, man. And I remember talking to, and it's my brother, and I love my brother. He's a killer, a couple years older than me. He told me too, like, I remember talking to him one time. He was like, yeah, I know so-and-so. Like, we were just talking about traveling out there, and I just remember saying, like, man, I wish I could just live out there and hunt like that all the time. And he said to me, and this was like something I just think about, and he was coming from a kind heart. He was like, well, as you get older and, it takes a lot of vacation and it's such a far trip and you'll start a family. So maybe like once a year you can go out for like a week. Yeah, like that's what a lot of guys do. And I just remember being like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, no, that's not going to be me. So that drove me. Like I said, I think people know what they want because I feel like I'm now on the other side of this little chapter of my life. And I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? So that's it, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're still young enough where, you're going to have time to do that. It's easy to live with regret and be older and be like, man, I wish I would have did this 10 years ago. It's like anything in life. It's like training, right? It's like, man, I wish I would have started 20 years ago. Yeah, that would have been better for sure. But it's never too late to start, right? As you get older. So, dude, you're a crazy fitness guy. I want to talk a little bit about that. So, for the listeners, like I've known you now for a couple of years. We've chatted about fitness back and forth a lot, right? Like running and stuff like that. When I was training for a marathon a couple of years ago, I could always lean on you. When did that journey for fitness start for you?
So fitness in general, for me, probably in high school.
Mhm.
I really just got in the gym, lifting weights, just eating everything in sight. I didn't care about cardio and wasn't even thinking anything about, hunting the mountains at that time. I just wanted to lift weights, get big, and all that stuff. And I still like lifting that style a little bit, but everything really changed again, kind of in that point in my life when I started hunting the mountains. And I see these guys like Cam Hanes and stuff, and I'm like, okay, running, maybe that's something like I should start, looking into a little bit. And at the time, again, before that first elk hunt about 5 years ago, no bullshit, a half mile was like tough. I'd run a half mile to my gym from my apartment where I was living. And I remember this 3 mile loop near my work office was like oh my gosh, like that's my big long run. Like how am I going to do that? Like I remember I had to slow down to a walk, and like that's where I started. And that's what it was about 5 years ago. And I guess for the listener, if you haven't followed me or whatever, I've now am at the point where if I just keep showing up, staying disciplined, also over time, you see the progression and you just start to fall in love with the craft, essentially. And I found that to be true as well. I'm now running the Boston Marathon in April, and I'm a 2-hour, 48-minute marathoner. And I'm not near as good as I want to be yet, but it just goes to show really just, in a handful of years going from zero to qualifying for a major race. And it has been amazing. And I'm so stoked for that race. But it all started with, I want to get in better shape for the mountains. And I continue to leverage running for it. And I think it is a great way to help prepare, as well as throw in some strength training, which I still do. And I run these big ultra marathons with it too. And I love it, dude. I love every bit of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's, man, a similar story, like coming from high school football and like high level lacrosse and stuff like that. It was always like, get bigger, get some mass, get all this. And then like that segued into, for myself, more of like a bodybuilding regimen and just focusing on, oh yeah, no, I need to get my back bigger, and oh, I got to work on my quads and all this stuff. And it's funny how as you mature and bring hunting into it, it's like, wow, I am in good shape, but man, I'm in terrible shape. You go and you have to sprint ahead, say even 50 yards, and you're like getting that huff. It's like, wow, I am not ready for any of this. And it's kind of just listening to you talk how important cardio is. But younger me, I don't want to do cardio. But man,
that's how I was too. But you make a good point. I mean, I really think if people want to come out and hunt the mountains, and I talk to a lot of guys from back east and way out of state, because that's how I started. And I'm like, I'm not saying you have to run marathons and everything, but just having a great base of cardio, because that is what you're going to be doing on your elk hunt. Whether you're hunting from the truck or backpacking in or whatever, you're on your feet moving all day. And if you have these little bursts of like trying to get over a ridge to get on an elk, or, you want to speed up on your stalk, like it's going to be a lot of stop start, and the heart rate's up in general because you're closing in on an animal. Just to have that better cardio base, it's going to help you a ton.
Yeah, I feel like a lower resting heart rate in general is going to help you in every aspect of hunting, from the time you leave the trailhead, or time you start the trailhead, sorry, to the time you come to full draw, or the time you have that animal in your crosshairs, whatever, if you're rifle hunting or bow hunting, doesn't matter. I feel like if you have a lower resting heart rate and you can control that, I feel the more effective you're going to be when you're in that time to act. So, I mean, running is obviously, I love running. My knees definitely, but I'm a little older than you boys. So, when you're 47, we'll chat about the knees and all that other stuff, and we'll talk about it. But I've just adapted. So I started introducing a lot more biking I find that's easy on my knees, just to keep, that endurance up, keep the cardio up, and build a little bit of leg strength. Now, I used to lift heavy as well. Now I've changed everything to lifting light and more reps, just because my joints are starting to fall apart from years and years of abuse. But, and like we've talked about before, Weston, it's like, for these guys who don't know how to get into it, find something you like to do. Like, don't just run to run. Like, yes, running will help, but you don't have to run. Like you said, you don't have to run. And if you hate running, the chances of you sticking with it are way less. You're better off finding something you enjoy doing. If you enjoy biking, if you enjoy rucking, if you enjoy any form of either cardio, swimming, you name it, do that, right? Because if you enjoy doing it, you're going to push yourself more and more, right? And that's the goal. You just want it's like elk hunting, it's like mule deer hunting. Like, we can get into some of your mule deer hunting. When you first started mule deer hunting, especially in the West, you're down here, but you keep adding to it. You keep progressing, you keep learning, and you keep climbing this ladder. And then all of a sudden, bang, you're successful, right? And then you figure out what worked and what didn't work. And now you start applying these strategies to, different areas and like bigger deer and all this stuff. And next thing you know, you look back 10 years later and you're like, man, I killed it. And so, like, treating fitness the same way, I think, is very important. Find something you like to do and just do it, and do it consistently. And you're going to find yourself such a more effective killer when it comes time, in September, October, especially in those backpack hunts. Now, like we said, like I was just saying, like your progression from, when you first came to the West, obviously you must have struggled, right? You must have came out here and been like, well, that was a fun hiking trip, right? Get to see some mountains. And then now, like, look at the success you had this year. So talk a little bit about that, like some of the struggles you went through and kind of like your mindset. Were you ready to quit? And like, you, obviously I know you, so I know you just keep pushing through, right? But just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's like anything, you have to just jump right in. And I think some people, I'm all about dreaming big, setting the bar high. Like, you should be like, I'm getting my elk tag this year and I'm killing a big bull, and like, that's it. I think that's great. That's going to help you, because that's going to yield big training and big preparation. But also, in the same breath, this shit is really hard. So you have to, be okay with like giving the devil its due, is what I like to say. So yeah, that first year did not kill a bull and got into a bunch of elk. And I just remember, though, that failure just drove me nuts, man. I hate, as much as I'll sit here all day and say I love running, I love the mountains, I love backpacking, all this stuff. I also, it's not just love winning, I hate to lose. So when I don't punch a tag, like when I came off that mountain the first year, I just got so obsessed with like, what more can I do? How can I be a more effective woodsman? How can I be in better shape? All these things. So yeah, that first year, ate that tag, learned a lot. And I think that's just all part of the journey as a hunter. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up when they start out for the first time. It's like, it's so great to see all these bulls hit the ground from big experienced killers like every year on social media. But you have to understand, like, they're on level 9 or 10 and you're not there. And that's okay, because that's part of the game. I think people get caught up in their own, like, it's naive of them to think, I want all that success like right away. You have to love this game, love learning, and love constantly improving. That's what's going to get you to level 9 or 10. So that's what I did. And I'm not saying I'm at level 9 or 10 yet, but I started getting my butt kicked on that first trip. But I always knew too, it ate at me that I didn't kill my bull, but I always knew I loved everything about it. I loved the whole experience. I love watching the sun come up over the mountains. I love the struggle too, just the chase, the challenge, the heavy backpacks, the hiking up, the mountains, and just having my, stove heat up my dehydrated meal. I loved all of it. I knew I was going to keep coming back for more. And that first year too, I heard my first elk bugle, like in the wild, like in the timber. And I still think about that all the time. That gave me such a fire to keep at this. And again, I knew, I was like, this is what I want to do. So then over the years, started to find more success here and there, but just trying to do everything I could, living 2,000 miles away from where these elk and mule deer live.
So when you say success, sorry to cut you off, buddy. When you say success, like, you're not punching a tag, but you're finding success. Now, are you finding success in where you feel like, oh, I got really close that time, right? And then you just start building off that, because I think that's important. Like defining what success is. Like even like when I look at what you're doing, even you being in Pennsylvania, not knowing anybody, coming way out west, just getting there and hitting the trailhead. To me, that's like step one. That's a success, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head. Is like, don't look at where guys, especially Instagram is hard, Facebook's hard, because you only see that one thing, right? You see the success, right? And it's easy to post success. But it's a lot different. The journey there is a lot different to get to there. And a lot of the times the journey is the reward, right? The achievement is not necessarily the reward, the amount of knowledge and stuff you gain. So that's one thing when I think of like you said your every trip was a little bit more successful. You're just like getting closer to stocks. You're finding it easier. You're finding ways, like learning all these new things that, as I've been hunting a long time, like I said, I'm 47. A lot of these things I learned 25 years ago, right? And so a lot of these things I forget. Now that's having kids. It's funny because it's like, boom, all these little things pop up that you forget about that you start having to teach somebody and let them experience as well. So yeah, keep going. I did just want to cut you off. I just was curious on your definition of success there.
No, for sure. You have to kind of like tell yourself that too. Like, hey man, there's a lot of people that come out here and they barely get off the roads. They just see hunting pressure and just mentally say to themselves like, oh, this sucks, whatever, this is BS. And maybe they don't even see an elk. But giving myself those opportunities as coming to these states, never being here before, just e-scouting, showing up at the trailhead. And it's okay to give yourself some of that grace. Like take those as like little micro wins. Like, okay, there's some things we did right and we came really close. Like I almost tagged out twice that first year, just couldn't get the last little things to come together. So then over the next couple of years, I went out and I remember I had a mule deer tag and I'm like, I'm not looking for a trophy buck, but I want to find some success. I want to punch that first Western hunting tag. And I did. And I killed a younger 4x4. And I just remember being so stoked. So then I think that too is really important. Like you do just need that first big win where it's like, okay, this isn't like some magic. Like I can do this. You know what I mean? But I think it's important too. Don't come out and be like, I want that 190-inch mule deer or nothing. There's levels to this. You have to build to that. And you might luck out on a monster like your first year or two. It's hunting. It's weird sometimes that things happen. But just giving yourself these steps along the way to just give yourself evidence that you are getting better at this, you'll get to the bigger buck, the bigger bull, all these things. So then I remember hunting Colorado. I started out with a few guys for a couple days. This was the next year. But then I went on my own for a few days. And I went up on this other ridge and I blew some stalks on some bulls. I wanted to kill a bull so bad. But I remember I was getting towards the end of the week. And I even said too, like I haven't killed an elk with my bow yet. I woke up that morning and I was like, if I get in on this herd, I knew where they were at. I pitched my tent right above, like right near where they were. If I get in tight on this herd, and there was like 36 head of elk, I was like, don't screw this up. And if there's a good opportunity on a large cow, take it. So I did. I was up by myself 4 miles in at 12,000 feet in Colorado and got in tight on this herd. There was bulls bugling down this creek bottom, elk everywhere. And I just remember being like, dude, I'm in one of those fucking Primos videos. Like, this is unbelievable. And this was an over-the-counter Colorado elk tag. Like, this was no special thing. And I'm just up there, like, by myself, like, some guy from back east. That's all. But just grind it out. Get out there. Give yourself opportunities. Get your butt kicked a little bit. Eventually, it'll all come together. So that's what I did. And I arrowed this pretty big cow. Like, I was so stoked and ate on that, like, for a long time and packed that whole thing out by myself. Took me, like, day and a half, but it was good. It was big north slope, was able to hang it all in meat bags and got it in the pine trees above this creek. It stayed super cold up there at night too. And the meat was all good. And I was just nonstop for a day and a half. I let myself sleep a little bit, but basically a day and a half, like just doing a couple trips and packed that whole thing out myself. And then it's like this, like confidence, man. Like I feel like, it is real. I feel like I could do anything, not just in hunting, but like you go back into work and it's just like, let's kick
Big
some
dick
ass.
swing,
Like,
dude.
this is
Big dick
nothing.
swing.
Yeah. Let me show you this trophy cow elk I just shot by myself. So anyway, and it just all just compounds and compounds, and like, but you have to just keep going through those hard times. And I still have hard times. I still have hunts where I get my butt kicked, but constantly getting better, learning, improving, keep showing up, keep training hard, and that's really it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome too. I like how you brought up the fact that it doesn't have to be a trophy, right? Like so many guys, they get like this number in their head, especially when they're starting out, and you're putting that on a pedestal. It's kind of like running a marathon or something like that, and for the first time, oh, I'm going sub 3. Well, then you don't go sub 3, you bonk out or whatever, and oh, well, this sucks. I just maybe I'm not cut out for this. Oh, you didn't see 190-inch mule deer. Well, then you're defeated, you're deflated. Man, that's awesome that you went and I'm sure that feeling that you had when you arrowed that cow, like it could be a 350-inch bull in your mind, right? Because you did it yourself. And I feel like, yeah, you just can't put that kind of added unnecessary pressure on yourself, especially when you're beginning. Like, yeah, no, that really hits home. And I think a lot of guys could take the merit from that and run.
When you arrow anything too, it feels good. You can arrow it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, nice. I just arrowed that sucker, right? Because hunting with a bow is extremely hard. And I really like what you said, micro wins. I'm going to steal that from you. That is one of the coolest things I've heard in a while. But that's what it is. It's like just adding up all these small wins, and then you're going to be successful. Yeah, you're not going to kill a big buck every time, or a big bull every time, or a big buck every time. And like, hey, man, it's still a struggle. I've killed a lot of bulls in my life, and like this year was extremely hard to kill a bull. And like I had my sights set on a 190 plus mule deer. I didn't even see a 190 plus mule deer. You know what I mean? So those things never leave. So if you think that you're going to get to a point in your career or in your career of this craft, and it's just all of a sudden going to click and you don't have to work hard anymore. No, that's not it. You have to, the landscape that we hunt in is changing fast. It's changing faster now than it's changed in the last 20 years, with climate change, progression, disease running through these deer, human encroachment, especially like resource extraction where we live, all these things that, we as hunters and conservationists, we have to think about as well, right? And we have to strategize. It's funny, Landen and I talked about how hard this whitetail season was. And in the past, because of the area I hunt in and the weather, it was always really easy to get it done. The weather's changed a lot in the last 5 years. It's warmed up a lot. Like we're talking in plus degrees Celsius and throughout the late season whitetail hunting, where before it would be minus 20. And so you'd find the deer a lot easier. Now I have to change my strategy. I have to adapt because it like in life, if you don't adapt, you die, right? You have to evolve in hunting. So it's really cool to hear your progression as you move forward. But I'd love to hear about one of your mule deer stories. You could pick either one because I know you and I chatted after you got it done, and congratulations, all that. And congratulations again to on all success this year from, the running, the podcast too, which we'll get into. I think it's really great. I like listen to you all the time, obviously, and like we're friends. We've been talking for a while, but I have a couple questions for you with the podcast and just this space, because it is funny how much pressure you can add on yourself once you're in this space. Do you know what I mean? Like you can be like, well, I mean, these guys are doing this. I have to get it done now. I have to get it done so I can have something to talk about. So we'll get into that. But yeah, let's just hear a hunting story.
Sure. So then this year now, I get that offer, right? This was probably August timeframe, and I'm selling my house. I'm like, oh my God, I'm moving west. And I wasn't going to start with the new job until later in October. So perfect, because I want to do all my hunting in September. So I had all this lined up with my old job, the vacation stuff. So I was still able to do all that before I left. So I did 2 hunts. I hunted the high country, or I got these 2 mule deer tags, was the high country in Colorado. It was just a dream up there, 13,000 feet, spot and stock with a bow. I tagged out on a buck there that I was really happy with. And then this other buck here in Idaho. And actually what I did here was I picked up a non-resident Idaho deer tag before I moved, because I knew once I got out here, October, I still want to be hunting, if I can. So I picked up a non-resident deer tag because I'm not a resident yet. You need 6 months of living here. So I got this tag, and this was the story I want to tell because it was pretty cool. So I started work, let me think, October 13th, say that's a Monday. I drove out here with my U-Haul, got out here like Friday the 11th or something like that, just kind of like moved all my shit in for that weekend, started my new job, and then didn't even have my apartment, anything organized really. Like I had a bed made, that's it. But once I finished that first week of work, I was like, I'm going hunting. Like this is what I'm here to do. So now it's mid-October, and I was toting the rifle around. And I had this deer tag in a unit I'd never been to before, don't know anything, but just e-scouted, all this stuff. I talked to one guy I kind of knew here, and I was like, hey, this is kind of where I'm thinking. He's like, I've never been here, but I know you're probably going to see some deer hunters there, it holds deer. And I'm like, that's all I need to know. So I get off work Friday, my first week here in Idaho. Like, I'm like, this is just so crazy. I'm just so blessed to just be here and do all this. So I get off work, got all my stuff loaded down, my Hilleberg tent, all this stuff, my backpack, and I pull into this trailhead, and there's a couple camps down below, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't get there. I pulled right in once it got dark. And I'm like, well, we're having a really hot, it's still pretty warm now here in January, but in the 70s, October, I was like, I got to get high. I want to get as high as I can up on this ridge, get way off the trail, get away from people. And this pack-in's going to suck, but I know where I want to be at first light. I don't want to waste any time. So I had my pack loaded down. I'm toting my 300 and hiked up the trail for a little bit, but then got off trail and just did this massive couple 1,000-foot climb. And I still don't even know what this area looks like. It's dark the whole time. I'm hiking up there and I'm way up on this ridge, and it's like pushing midnight, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to get too close now. I'll camp right here, just where this spine ridge levels off for like 15 feet. And I'm like, okay, good enough for my tent. So it's like midnight, pitch the tent. I'm up on this ridge, crazy high winds. And I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even know where I'm at. Like, I just feel stupid. This is dangerous, whatever. But I get a couple hours of sleep. I wake up and I'm like, and it's still dark because I want to still get another couple 100 feet towards the top for first light. I'm like, I still don't even know what this looks like up here. Finally, the sun's coming up though, and I had this little south face with all this buckbrush up there, they call it, just this green up stuff they like to forage on. And I'm like, okay, this looks good. The sun's starting to come up, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. Like, I'm going to sit my spotter down right here. And this little small micro draw, Brian Barney talks about this all the time, how those mule deer just love those little nooks and crannies and folds in the terrain, like up hunting them in the mountains. And that's what it was. I saw a couple does and some twin fawns like skirt this top, and I'm like, okay, there's deer here. And I looked down in this draw, this little drainage, and I was like, oh, there's a buck. He good looking buck. Everything and more I'm after. So he's feeding in the brush, and I'm like, man, I've been hunting here for 30 minutes. Like, here we go. I think I'm going to get after this buck. So I still had to stalk a little closer. I dropped back over the ridge to then hike up closer to him and then come back over the top to get back on him. And when I did that, I'm looking for him and I see him bedded. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's bedded, perfectly broadside. And it's all thick around me, but there was this one big blowdown. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to lay down on there prone. And then I got a bipod on my 300 and then use my bino harness, take it off and use that as like a butt cheek rest. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, I got all the time in the world. I'm just trying to stay calm, and this buck is bedded. And I see he's like real tall. He's not super wide, but I'm like, all right, this is good. Just take your time. I'm laying on this log. Boom. And I hammer him, and then I ram another one in, and I'm looking, I put him back in the scope, and he's down. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is crazy. So I calm down, I get over there, and I don't know if you can see it kind of in the frame here, but you can see it. He's this one right here. So he's like real tall. He's a 4x3. And I mean, he's not, a big 200 or anything, but a real good buck that I was happy with. And he had split brows on his one side that kind of hooked in, like really unique looking buck. But I get over there and I'm sitting with this buck, and it's just all hitting me how, like, man, I am a man of faith. I'm sitting there like talking to God, and I'm like just trusting my gut over the years. I just feel like I always wanted to move west and just live this life more. And I'm just so passionate about these hunts in the mountains and just how that all came together, man. Like, that didn't have to happen like that, but I just feel like, I put myself in the best position to succeed that day. And within 30 minutes of me living this new life in this new state, God blessed me with like a really great mule deer buck, and couldn't have done it any other way. This is my favorite way to do it. Backpacking in the dark, and like just getting nasty, getting way up deep in there and tagging out, and then making the whole big pack out by myself and just embracing all of it, dude. I sat with that buck for a good 20, 30 minutes just in silence, like just taking it all in. And it was just incredible. And it was like my welcome home Idaho buck. So that's what I'm calling it. And this will go on the YouTube shortly soon. So I have my Colorado buck that I arrowed this year on my YouTube. This one I'm working on editing, and I'll probably get it up here in the next couple of weeks. But dude, just an insane experience. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. It's funny when you go through those, when you're in the moment of those pack outs, and when it's really hard. And I've done it enough now, I know, to really enjoy those hard moments, because those are the moments you can remember. And it's funny, I took Jake, who's a member of HuntSource. He's our camera guy, does a lot of our editing. He's never been in the backcountry before. He's never been on a backpack hunt. So we went to northern BC to chase mountain goats. We're getting into places where very few people have set foot. And I just remembered the struggle he was going through and the pain he was feeling when he was doing it. And I was like, dude, embrace all this, because you're not going to remember the pain. I mean, you will remember the pain. You remember all that, but you're not going to really remember it. You're going to remember everything else. You're going to look at this pain and this struggle as enjoyment. You're going to love this. You're going to crave it. Next year, you're going to want to do this again. You want to feel the same thing you're feeling right now, because that's all part of it, man. That's the experience. That's the coolest stuff ever, is when, you're packing out your animal and your back hurts and your knees are shaking, and then the rain's blowing down on you sideways, and like, it's just miserable and hell. And then you conquer it and you're like, man, I can conquer anything in the world. No matter what happens, I can take it.
Absolutely, man. And that's real confidence, because that's from doing it. Like, confidence is built from doing. Anything else, you're just being cocky, and it's your ego. When you have the evidence, that's when you're confident. And it also makes you humble too, because you know how freaking hard that is. So when you hear somebody else talk about it or whatever, you're just as excited as they are, because you know the struggle,
Yeah, you've lived it.
Hey, everybody, real quick, if you're listening to this episode on Spotify, please go ahead to the top of the page and leave a star rating. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a star rating and a review if you'd like. If you really like this episode, please share it with a friend, throw it up on your Instagram story, share it that way. Any sort of share or review really helps grow the show. Really appreciate it. All right, we'll get back to it.
So moving forward, so this year you're going to be there for a full year. Talk a little bit about some of your goals for 2026 in terms of, do you have any big fitness goals you're doing? You said you're running the Boston Marathon, but what about, in the backcountry? Talk a little bit about some of your goals, and then we'll kind of get into, I'd like to talk about like what you're doing to achieve those goals.
For sure. And I'm like a kid in the candy store, because now I'm here. I'm a resident of a Western state, and I'm just like, let's go. Let's do this. So first and foremost, I know, the spring comes around first. Like to get my bear, and also got a friend coming out. I'll take him in the backcountry for a few days, spot and stock. He really wants to do that. And I'll run baits. I really like hunting them over bait too, but I like hunting bears any other way. That'll be first. That'll be in the spring, and I'll be getting out there to like check out some areas. But really, once summer comes around, I'm really going to spend as many weekends as I can scouting. I want to check every ridge, every drainage. I feel like that's where a lot of guys make mistakes. Like, some people come from way far away to hunt these Western states, but if you're close, or you can allocate, and I've done that from Pennsylvania. I took a week off in August to go scout the unit where I was going to come back and hunt in October. Like how bad do you want it? I think people really overlook just that time spent in the mountains, scouting, learning your animal, learning your country. So I'm not going to sell myself short there, because I was thinking about drawing Wyoming elk. I have plenty of points to draw the general tag. And I really sat with that. And I was like, I'm all for, setting big goals, being ambitious, because I want to kill 2 bulls. Like I wanted to go to Wyoming, kill a bull, and then kill my bull here in Idaho. But I also understand it's like what I said like before, like giving the devil its due. You don't want to put these things on a pedestal and think like they're impossible, but you also have to understand that like it takes work and intent, and you can't half-ass this shit. So I think I'm going to not travel to Wyoming, because I know that would take a couple weekends too out of my scouting in the summer. That's going to take, I'd like to at least do that for a week or so out there and do that hunt. I'm going to stay in Idaho to do my elk hunting, but then I also learned I can pick up a second elk tag here in Idaho. So I'm going to do that when those come on sale, like in August. And it's not going to be, the best unit or whatever, but it gives me that chance to kill 2 bulls this year, if that's what I want to, and that is what I want to do. So that's going to be my goal, and I feel really good about that. Like, it's not that I won't go and hunt other states when I'm living here, but that this first year, man, I really just want to dial in spots. I want to spend as much time as I can learning the areas here. So I want to do that. I'm going to save all that time too. So all my time, most of my time I'll be off in September, and I really want to set myself up to try to kill 2 bulls. So that's going to be the goal this year. I want to kill 2 bulls with my bow, and I'm not saying they have to be 6-point or better by any means, but I do want to kill, decent bulls, not a spike or a rag or anything like that. So that's going to be the goal, and still sounds ambitious. I mean, I've never done that, but I think setting big goals, when you do that, think about how much more I have to scout now versus is like, if my goal was like, well, I'd be happy with just a spike, this year. Probably not going to scout as much, probably not going to train as hard, probably going to not shoot my bow as much. So, dude, I'm all about setting big goals, because I'm going to have to get obsessive putting the work in, because I know how much work that's going to take to get that done. And think about how much better of a hunter am I going to be. So that's the goal. I want to kill 2 bulls in September, and then it's going to be fun. So I set my dad up to draw a tag here in Idaho, and he did draw. This just happened the other day, and he's a big gun hunter. Kevin, I think I'm really going to put the gun down for good. Been thinking about that for, about a year or 2 now, and I just really love bow hunting. And I know if I keep toting the rifle around, it's all great stuff. And I'm not saying, one's better than the other, but I need to spend as much time in the field with that bow as I can if I want to be the bow hunter I want to be. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the gun down. My dad's going to come out for a few days in October, and I'm just going to take him out on this deer tag that he drew. It's going to be so fun. I'm just going to play guide, and hopefully, he's not looking for anything crazy, but take dad out. Hopefully we bag a good buck. And then come November, you can hunt mule deer in the rut here. And I see how Brian Barney does that every year. And gosh, man, that just looks so awesome. Do you see the pictures he had this year? Like, he's in a snowstorm by himself, and he's just like holding that muley buck skull. And I'm just like, yeah, I want a piece of that. So I'll hunt late season. I'll get the bow back out and try to arrow a good buck here. So that's going to be my plans this year. I just want to stay in Idaho and learn this state and give it. I think I need to. I think I need to learn this country the best I can.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Awesome.
That's a sweet opportunity, having a chance to go for 2 bulls in one state. That's yeah, I'd be utilizing and doing the same thing, buddy. And learning all that area. Yeah, that's the way to go in my opinion.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, there definitely is nothing like killing 2 bulls in one year. I did it a few years ago. In Canada, our opportunity is a little different. Like, I can't even go, so I can kill a bull here in British Columbia, and then I can go to Alberta, and I can do it as well. I'm not allowed to hunt elk where Landen is, so it's definitely a little harder. I need to utilize some of those state hunts, get down across that border and start hunting down there. So looking into that. But yeah, so you got big goals. Obviously, you know how to achieve these goals. You know what it's like to put the work in, to do all that stuff. Now, the thing is, the bigger the goals, the more time it takes, and you still have work and stuff. Luckily, you're still young, so you don't have to deal with all these little outside distractions like kids and wives and all these other things.
Right. And I know that. So I'm like, if there's going to be a time to do it, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, for sure. So what are the things that you feel that you need to improve the most? Obviously, I think your fitness is good. I think you're solid there. Is it shooting the bow? Is it your e-scouting? Is it your elk calling? What are some things that you feel where you need to really, not really, but you just need to improve on?
I think too, especially hunting elk in the rut, something I want to get better at too. And I know a lot of this comes with experience, but I just want to connect and talk with more guys. There's so many times where I've had opportunities on bulls. They're talking, I'm giving a call back. Sometimes you just get indecisive. And I feel like I need more at bats that's going to build more, confidence in what the next move is. And I feel like I do hunt aggressive in those moments, but there's also times where it's better off, maybe he's coming or whatever. So I want to get better at that. Just my overall elk knowledge, behavior. And I think a lot of that's going to help me. I'm going to learn a lot of that when I'm out there scouting. But that's basically what it comes down to for me. I think part of my backcountry game, I feel very dialed in with my gear. I feel like I'm a very effective just backpacker, and I'm very confident in my woodsmanship. Shooting the bow, I do want to get better at. I want to practice more like stressful situations, like maybe get the heart rate up and then just fling an arrow at 50 yards cold, things like that. And then I know my fitness is probably there, could always improve, no doubt, but really just learning that country, scouting, spending time, watching these animals behind the spotter. So I was out late season, and I actually did have a late season cow tag, but I was in like the low country, and it still had been 70 degrees here in November. So didn't see any elk like at all, but it kept me busy, gave me something to do on the weekends in November. Run all my gear. I was like, why not? But what was awesome though is I watched all these rutting mule deer, and I scouted all that land, and it was just so fun to just really just stop and watch these animals. Pretend like you were going on a stalk. Pretend like, you got that tag in your pocket, and really just watch them interact. Watch I'd see these group of deer. There's obviously a big buck there. He's checking his does. Maybe there's one or two like smaller bucks there, but it's him with those does, just watching them interact. You can see like if I was to go on one of those stalks, like something I learned too was like there's a couple does that are in charge, and they're always kind of like on point. You really got to make sure you keep an eye on them before you make any other move. You're really probably wouldn't be watching the buck as much as you think. Like you're watching these other eyes. So just things like that, learning the animals, learning where they are, and then just trying to find some better spots. And that's what I plan to do. I mean, every weekend, all summer, be super prepared, know exactly where I want to go come season opener, and that's what I'm going to work on.
Definitely. And I feel like that is a huge part that is overlooked a lot, is understanding your prey, understanding where they live, what they need, what they like, when they need it, herd dynamics for elk, herds of, when like you said, if you're hunting in the rut, understanding doe movement, because the buck, for the most part, if you're in the rut, he's not going to be the issue. Yes, you're trying to kill the buck, but you don't have to be cautious of the buck. You have to be cautious of all the other eyes that are looking your way, and they're always on point. When it's rut time, that buck, he gets stupid, he gets, complacent, he just gets aggressive, and I've had bucks running in, they've heard, and they just come running in right at you, right? They just hear a noise, they're fired up, but it's the does that you got to watch out for. So that's awesome, buddy. I'm looking forward to it. So now you got the podcast, you're killing it. You got the YouTube channel. You're in this space, right? Do you feel any added pressure being in this space to be more successful in the backcountry?
I've thought about this, especially starting the podcast and stuff. And then I kind of sat on it. This was the first year having a podcast when I was out hunting. Honestly, Kevin, I didn't really think about it. I felt like for me, nobody's going to put pressure on myself more than myself. Even that first year I went out to hunt elk in Colorado, I'm freaking out every day. Like I'm barely sleeping at night because one, I'm excited. I love this shit. But two, like I said, I hate to lose and I want to win and I want to punch that tag. And when I'm out there now, no, man, I'm really not thinking about anything else. And I'm actually happy that I can sit here and say that because I don't want me now starting a podcast, getting connected with people and all these things to really take away from how I feel out there. And that's how I felt this year. And I don't know, I think I was proud of myself. I'm always trying to like check my ego and ask myself, what am I doing this for? And it still just felt like, for me, just that passion, that drive to be successful was that same pressure I put on myself that first year. And I put an immense amount of pressure on myself. I'm probably my biggest critic. And that's just what I focus on, man. I don't try to let anything else creep in my mind. And I mean, I'm human and maybe those things kind of slip in here and there, but I just try to wake up, and I do this even without the hunt throughout the year. I just wake up and I just think about, what do I have to do today? It might be, if it's September 15th, what I have to do today is kill a bull. If it's January 10th today, I have to go run 22 miles. That's what I need to do today to win, and that's all I focus on, and nothing else matters.
Take it
That's
one day at a time.
how I operate.
That's good, dude, because nothing will humble you more than the backcountry and then the animals. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I still get humbled over and over and over again. And that's what draws me to it. Is if you went out and it was really easy and you're always just successful, it wouldn't be challenging. And I think, guys like us, that's what we need. We need constant challenge. We need to constantly be pushing ourselves. And, if you find passion for the backcountry, and then it's a perfect mix, and you get to bring home meat. So I really feel like there's no better lifestyle than the lifestyle you're living. And dude, I'm so pumped and proud of you for making that step out west here. And it's good that you're only a couple hours south of me now. I don't know, a little harder to get across the border and hunt, obviously, than it is to get across the state or province line. But one day, hopefully, we can catch up and chase some critters.
For sure.
Yeah. So the nice thing about the podcast is, though, you do get to talk to a lot of great outdoorsmen, great hunters. So how do you feel? Do you feel like the amount of knowledge you're learning through the podcast is making you better in the backcountry, and it will continue to do that?
Absolutely. That's what's so cool about podcasting. And that's also what I have a passion for. I just love good, deep conversations about things we're passionate about, this hunting, training, just constantly improving ourselves. And it's been so awesome. So I have this podcast. If people are listening, they want to go check it out. It's called Run the Rack Outdoors Podcast. Obviously, it's hunting based. We talk a lot about backcountry hunting. That's what I love, but also a lot of training and then just personal development. Like, how can we just as men constantly find ways to get better? I've had Aaron Snyder on. I've had Brian Barney on. I just had Dan Staten on, Elk Shape. That guy's a stud. John Barklow from Sitka. So it's awesome getting these quote experts in our field on, talking to them, be very intentional for like an hour. Like, that's so awesome. And I love putting it out there. Been getting more and more messages from people just helping guys out with their training and hunting and things like that. But also what's cool about podcasting is, selfishly, I'm learning a ton too. And it's so awesome to connect with those guys and learn from them. And I think it's only going to make me better, but I also try to just help the listeners, because for me, when I started out, I didn't know what podcasts were back in whatever that was, 2020 or so. If it wasn't for hunting podcasts, I probably would have never figured out what one was, but they taught me a lot just listening to podcasts like that. So not only do I love doing it, but I also just love like helping people out and getting that information out there. Because if I can help get just one guy to just experience the mountains just for a few days, man, I know how much that could mean to them, because it's meant that much for me. Yeah,
the interactions are definitely precious. And like you said, it really is nice to be able to help guys that are struggling. There's a lot of later adult onset hunters that I've had communications with, and are like, man, I see all these other guys getting it done, and I just, how do I do it? And like, you do it by not quitting. Just keep moving forward. Like, learn. You're going to make mistakes. Like in life, we all make mistakes. You don't step back, you step sideways, and you keep moving forward. And then you adjust and you pivot and you keep moving forward. As long as you're moving forward to a specific goal you have, you're always going to be successful. Failing's part of the success, right? So, no, dude, super proud of you. Awesome to see you out there. One more question, and then we'll see if Landen has any more last questions for you. What are some of the most important things you've learned over the last couple years from not being successful to being successful in the backcountry that would help guys in that same situation that are kind of, you know, they want to come out west, or they want to come up to Canada and do this epic hunt?
I'll give you two answers. One's more practical and one's more just from a mindset standpoint. But the first one is there's still so much opportunity to hunt the West. Please don't listen to some of these people that get online and they're just haters and negative and talk crap. They see a bunch of people out there. A lot of those guys are just hunting from the road, and that's why they're having a bad experience. You know, there's still a ton of opportunity. People are laying down good animals every year on over-the-counter public land DIY hunts. And don't get discouraged when you hear that negativity. Maybe those guys just aren't putting in the work, to be frank. But my lesson here, though, is you got to get away from people. You got to get off the trails. And I would say I know that feeling. You kind of almost feel it's a little bit scary feeling, like getting ridge after ridge away from a trail or your truck and getting in deep. And just understand you're going to be okay. You know, things are going to be okay. But, you know, start small. If you don't live in a Western state or whatever, this is what I did when I still lived back in Pennsylvania. I would just go backpacking, go camping. Maybe I'd scout for turkeys or whitetail or deer or bear or something like that, but go spend some nights in the tent, get comfortable just being away from people, even nights by yourself. Do that. So when you come out west, you're a little bit more skilled in the sense of getting in deep, away from trails, away from people. I know it sounds obvious and people will just tell you to do that, but I think there's a lot of people that come out and they don't go that far in, and they do stick mostly to the trails. You have to be where the animals are, and they're not going to be near the road. That's just my big first thing. My second thing, from a mindset perspective, so I love running these big races. I love pushing my body. I love these ultra marathons, and been able to do these races, and they're really exciting. I love the running community, but really what I'm doing it for too is elk hunting is hard. Backcountry hunting is hard. You need to be the person that can do hard things and problem solve and go and push through adversity and not quit. So you can't always just hunt elk every day throughout the year. You know, you need to start to do hard things, because you don't want to show up on the hunt and think like, this is about to be like the hardest thing I've ever done. You don't want that, because you're going to talk yourself out of a lot of opportunities every single day, telling yourself like how impossible this is. That's not the attitude you want to have. You want to stack evidence throughout the year that you can do hard things, you can overcome. And what I like about running too is like, you know, if I go out I can at any time pop up and go run 10 miles, like no problem. So when we're backpacking in 5, 6, 7 miles, I'm just like, word, like, let's do it. And obviously it's a little tougher with, you know, a heavy backpack and going up a mountain. I can rationalize it. You know, I can wrap my head around it. Like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to take one step at a time. I've done this a million times before. Be somebody that can do hard things, because what we're doing is hard. You're going to have more confidence going into the hunt. So that's my other tip there.
Nice, buddy. I love it. Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, when you're walking on, you know, to get off the trail, you have to leave your comfort zone. And it's like anything. And yeah, that's awesome, dude. You got anything to add, Landen, before we let Weston go on his 22-mile run or whatever he's going to do?
Yeah, some crazy training session. Not really for questions, man. It was great talking to you. And a big thing that stands out from what you said is the little wins, like the micro wins.
I love that, micro wins.
Yeah, that's great. But I feel like so many guys get obsessed with, I need to kill. If I didn't kill by day 3 or day 4, well, what am I doing wrong? I feel like how you talked about enjoying and loving the whole experience, and that's the success, so to speak. I feel like ultimately, if you enjoy the whole act of it, there's absolutely no reason that you won't kill, because you're going to be putting yourself out there because you're enjoying the pursuit and all the work that goes in. And I really enjoyed your mindset on that, and keep doing what you're doing, man, because I love the motivation isn't what keeps me working out, but it definitely helps when you're scrolling through a feed and you see, oh shit, Weston's frickin' just finished 22 miles. Well, I'm going to go crush something out, even though the kids are in bed, it's late, don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, and that's awesome. That's why I'm a fan of social media, man. If you follow the right stuff, and if your algorithm's feeding you garbage, it's probably because you're clicking on stupid garbage stuff. But if you're following, guys, if I'm following you guys and I see, you guys shooting your bow or Kevin's out there training, like same thing. I want to get up and train. And it's just this good, positive energy that's contagious. And to what you said too, like, yeah, man, you got to look at these micro wins. And again, I want to kill a bull every time. I'm just like everybody else. I'm really not out there just to camp. You know what I mean? I do want to kill. That I bought the tag. But also, if somebody has a story where, they didn't kill, but, they got in tight and maybe they couldn't execute a good shot, but it was their first year. And I would say, that's okay. Because I got news for you. This is so hard what we're doing. Failures are going to be inevitable. That's bow hunting. So I think people just get caught up and they think they need to be at level 10 expert on day one. And that's not the game. Trust me, you don't even want that, because the best feelings, it's so much more sweeter for me when it comes together now because of those failures and because of those early on struggles I still have today in the backcountry, but I can look back on all the growth I've had as a hunter, and that's what feels good. If you hit level 10 on day one, expert, no mistakes, it would just taint the whole experience.
Yeah, definitely, buddy.
What's not okay is quitting. That's the only thing that's not okay.
I think that's important, and I've learned that too, is like just to enjoy the moment. Enjoy being out there, because I'm going to get to a certain point. And like I said, I have less days in front of me than I had behind me. So I'm on the back end of it. I'm not going to be able to put myself into those positions where I can wake up in the morning in a tent and look at a beautiful landscape where no other person's walked in the last, if they have, they haven't done it in a long time. You're not seeing cars. You don't even hear anything but your own thoughts in your head, right? I know I'm not going to be able to do that much longer, but I'm going to enjoy every minute. And I think that's one thing you learn as you get older. You really appreciate just this lifestyle. It's not always about killing. It's about getting out. It's about enjoying the backcountry. Throughout your life, you'll see it's about how you've developed and how you've set goals and how you have accomplished those goals. And then you set a new goal and you just keep working towards. And then all of a sudden one day you're going to wake up and be like, man, I've killed a lot of shit. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but anyway, buddy, I'll put links to all your stuff down below. Appreciate you, brother. It's great chatting as always, and look forward to this spring, and we'll definitely have to somehow line up for a hunt.
Oh, I know, man. Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate both you guys. Keep grinding. Love to see it. Hey, if you like that episode, please share it with a friend, share it on your story, and give the podcast a rating and a review on wherever you listen. For more of this type of content, you can head over to the YouTube channel and follow along on all the social platforms. Really appreciate it. See you on the mountain.